All right, Shalom. I want to start by saying, call Allah, YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, Kakadash. Double honors to the Apostles of Israel, aka the Apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and love to all the Akim. Continue to preach this truth and all truth and sincerity. Let me see something. All right, so Lord willing, Shalom. Lord willing, be edifying. My name is Ali Shai, and basically, as the title reads, it says digital ID, government services and the Motb shall shortly follow shortly after. The inspiration through the spirit. I was watching a brother did a video, and basically he was talking about what's going on, I believe, in Utah, which I believe Utah they're doing something to the digital ID. So maybe do a little bit of digging, because also another brother posted something. And it was basically talking about Mexico. Basically, Mexico is in early 2026 is going to have a mandatory digital ID. Now, why is that important? Because being that the digital ID is not the Motb, it's not the actual Motb, the RFID might go see it, but it's a predecessor leading to it. And remember, it's leading to it quickly. Because along with everything that's going on, you got the whole thing going on with the SNAP benefits in America with the food stamps, right? Now, it's all the Lord's will at the end of the day. But logically thinking, as a man, carnal man, is in how shit is going, I personally feel, logically thinking, not saying this was going to be, but logically thinking, I feel that when everything is said and done and they start to turn the faucet back on, they're going to have different stipulations. And I believe one of those stipulations is going to revolve around this digital ID and all this new currency system and basically the whole new global reset. All right? Because if that many Americans rely on it, that means that it's an important thing, and they're using that as a ploy and as a weapon. Now, you have countries that already have digital ID and it's mandatory. And that's why, and through the spirit, that's why I put government services, because I Googled it, and this is just from the AI overview. I didn't even go to an article. All right? So this is from Google's AI overview about, and I typed in, what countries already have mandatory digital IDs? All right? So in the AI overview, it says several countries, including Estonia, India, and Denmark, have mandatory or near mandatory digital ID systems. Now, mandatory meaning what? Now, I mean, if you don't know the word mandatory basically means that it's going to be a requirement, a guaranteed requirement. Matter of fact, let's go with the word mandatory real quick. Just to paint a picture. Mandatory. So we go into the word mandatory. It means person to whom a mandate has been given, one who receives a command or charge, one to whom a charge or commission has been given to order to commit to one's charge. Now, key, it says person to whom a mandate has been given. Now, this is the whole world. And remember, what did the scriptures say? It says, woe to them that decree unrighteous decrees. And then we go into that word decree. It also goes into the word mandate. All right? Just like the mandate he did with the whole C-19 jump shot. He's going to do the same thing with the digital ID. And then he's going to do this. He's going to take it a step further and do the same thing with the Motb. So going back to the Google. So it says, several countries, including Estonia, India, and Denmark, have mandatory or near mandatory digital ID systems. Now, I believe Estonia, that's part of NATO. India, that's prevalent country, that's Elam, and Denmark, which I believe is part of the EU and or NATO. And it says have mandatory or near mandatory digital ID systems. Other countries with mandatory digital ID systems or those where it is effectively required for many services include Belgium, Colombia, Germany, Peru, and Spain. Now, Spain, and I believe Germany, that's part of the beat. That's part of the seven heads. All right? So, and you see how it says with mandatory digital ID systems, or those where it is effectively required for many services include Belgium, Colombia, Germany, Peru, and Spain. These systems typically require citizens to use a digital ID for various services, from government access and banking to voting and health appointments. These are some of the most important sectors in Esau's kingdom. You see that? So what's going to happen? They're going to do the same thing with the microchip. Hey, you're going to need it for government. You're going to need it for government programs. You're going to need it for banking. Banking? Come on, that's your finances. Remember, the whole privacy of the Motb is that no man can buy or sell save he that had the mark. You have to buy, you have to pay for medical appointments. You have to pay for government service. You don't got to pay for government service, but you have to pay for well, you have to pay banking, but banking is the main thing. And it says from government access, and then it also says for various services. So those various services basically means all services. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. It's going to be more countries. All right. So it says examples of countries with mandatory or near mandatory digital IDs. It says Estonia. It says considered to have one of the most advanced systems. Its mandatory digital ID is used for accessing most government services. Now, what is a government service in America? SNAP, food stamps, Section 8, cash assistance. Those are all government assistance, whether it be federal or state, because it's all going to be intertwined with each other. It's going to be one system. It says used for accessing most government services, medical records, and online banking. This is in Estonia right now. Remember, we're in the end of 2025, and it said that Mexico is going to have a mandatory digital ID by early 2026, which is in is in a month or two. Actually, no, we got this month of November, then December, then it's going to be 2026. And there's going to be a whole year since Trump's been inaugurated in office, just like that. And look how much it's changed. Look how much they've moved forward with this whole global reset and whole change of the system. All the digital ID, AI, automated, all this shit. Look how short amount of time they've done it. Because now you got to think about it. If you calculate from when Trump has been in office to now. All right. It says India. It said the Aadhaar system assigns a unique 12-digit number to each resident, which is used as a digital identity for government welfare schemes and other services. See there, government. This is going to be a new governing thing for Esau, and he's going to use the rest of the world. Because remember, he said he calls them all. So it's not going to be just Edomites and Israelites. It's going to be all the heathens. Man, remember, he has the fatness of the earth, so he rules. He wants to control everybody. It says, it says Denmark. It said the MIT system is essential for online activities like paying taxes. See, paying taxes, booking health appointments, and accessing bank services. See, it is a pattern. Banking, medical, government services. There you go. And this is real time. This is right now, 2025. It says Belgium, has a mandatory national identification system that is used for a broad range of purposes. So it's probably going to be the same purposes mentioned from these other countries. It says Colombia has a mandatory national identification system that is used for a broad range of purposes. So they said the same thing for Belgium. It says Peru has a mandatory national identification system that is used for a broad range of purposes. The same thing. Spain. It says MIDNI is a digital version of Spain's DNI document, and while not strictly mandatory, it is a digital standard for identification. Germany, it says, offers a digital ID system, Bund ID, which is used for accessing government services. See there? Government services, banking shit. Those are the key things that people need throughout Esau's kingdom. Not just America, but the whole four corners of the earth. And that's how they're going to bring in the Motb. You're going to need that. See, remember, the digital ID is going to evolve into the Motb. That was initially what I was going to title the video. But, you know, it's, hey, through the Spirit, still might do that with another. But yeah, it says for what? Government services, banking, and health services. It says Sweden. And you remember Sweden has already a lot of people with the Motb. So if they talk about all these countries like Belgium, Germany, Colombia, Peru, India, Estonia, they all use it for government services, medical, and banking. That's the three-headed monster right there. So it says Sweden, the bank ID system is one of the most widely used digital identification systems globally and is used to access public services, log into bank accounts, and use electronic signatures. You see there? These are all things of already in a normal way of life in Esau's world. So he's just basically going to make everything that we once had, he's going to make it all digital. He's starting with a digital ID, but how is it going to end? It's going to end when you having to get a microchip in your body to utilize the same services. It says Singapore. It says SingPass is a mandatory digital identity for accessing government and private services. See, they're government services. And again, what is Snap? Snap is a government service. So is that America probably going to do the same thing? Definitely is going to do the same thing. Because remember, he calls it all. And remember, hold on. It says Ukraine. It says the DIIA app gives citizens a legal digital identity for online services, which became crucial during the ongoing war. And remember, you still got to remember the war. So all this is going to be happening simultaneously. The digital ID, the Motb, the nuclear war. Because remember, the judgment of getting a microchip is going to stem from what's going to happen with this World War III nuclear war. Because that's going to be the fire that's going to have the people that got the mark burn in front of YAHAWASHI and the holy angels. Referencing Revelation, the 14th chapter. So it says other country with digital ID system. It says United Arab Emirates, UAE Pass, allows access to online services, document signing, and verification. These are very key things to function in a society. It says China. The National Online Identity Authentication app allows citizens to obtain a digital ID number. France Connect, and France Ident allow citizens to access government sites using their existing ID. South Korea has a digital passport project. United States, several states are piloting digital versions of driver's license, and the federal government is looking into a national digital ID. So there you go. There goes America. So what's to say that America's not gonna say, hey, you know what? To get the stamps, get your food stamps, get your benefits, get all this shit, whatever the fuck they talk about with this government shutdown, to get all that back, here's gonna be the new way. So it says, here we go. Here's something interesting. It says important considerations. It says mandatory versus voluntary. It says some countries have fully mandatory systems, while others have voluntary systems that have become almost essential for daily life. So even if it's not mandatory, they said it's become essential for daily life, which means what? It's been necessary to have it. Hold up. So now we got to go to the scripture. Hold up. Because there go that devil with the cause. There goes the cause. The cause is going to be what? A new system. And eventually, they're going to evolve from the digital ID and say, yo, you got to get this microchip in your body. If you want to obtain your government services, if you want to get into your banking records, your medical records, and this is what the prophets of BAHASHAM have been saying for years. It's going to be your medical. It's going to be your banking. It's going to be your government service. It's going to be your ID. It's going to be your ID. But the ID, eventually, they're going to want you to get it implanted in your body. The same way they went along doing a jump shot, they're going to do that with the Motb. And they're going to use it, and it's going to be, you want to keep your government services, you want to keep your bank records, you want to keep basically want to keep all the things that's in your life already. And remember, a mandatory requirement. So when you go into Revelation chapter 13, verse 16 in NLT, it's talking about the MOTB, which the digital ID is not that yet. But the digital ID is going to evolve into having to get a mandatory microchip in your body. All right? So this is Revelation chapter 13, verse 16 in the NLT. And it says, he required everyone. Okay? He required everyone. Remember, this is going to be a requirement. It's not going to be voluntary. Just like they did with during the emic, they had the mask and you had the V. They was like, yo, it was the mask was voluntary. And then a week went by, and then they said, no, it's mandatory now that you have to wear masks to go into the store and go into establishments. You had to wear masks, in your Uber or whatever. You had to wear masks on public transportation. They're going to do the same thing with this stuff right here. And that was all a test. That was all an experiment for what they're about to do right now. All right? It says he required everyone, small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to be given a mark on the right hand or on their forehead. Verse 17, it says, and no one could buy or sell anything without that mark, which was either the name of the beast or the number representing his name. Now, hold up. If they're saying that, yo, look, if you want to get your benefits, if you want to maintain your bank records, if you want to maintain your medical records, documentation, they say you basically have to have a digital ID. And they're going to sit on that for a little bit, a short amount of time, and then what's going to happen afterwards? They're going to say, yeah, you know what? Now we have it to where you have to get the small little implant in your body if you want to maintain these same services. And that's the MOTB. So we're living right now in a time where they're ushering in the beast system. Right in front of they're laying it out right in front of our very eyes. All right? It says, verse 18 in Revelation chapter 13 in the NLT, it says, wisdom is needed here. Let the one with understanding solve the meaning of the number of the beast. For it is the number of a man. His number is 666. 666 is what? The devil. Obvious saint worship, and even in the present day, in the modern day state we're in right now, the devil's number is still 666. Now, let me go back to this thing. So now going back to this it says important consideration regarding the digital ID. It says mandatory versus voluntary. So it says some countries have fully mandatory systems, so it's already mandatory. So and that's them pushing in the door more and more and ushering in what they're going to usher in to see it. It says while others have voluntary systems that have become almost essential for daily life. Now let's go into the word essential. Going to the word essential. Essential. So we go into the word essential. It's from the I went to the etymology online. It's from the mid 14th century, and it says essential. That is such by its essence. From late Latin, essentialis. From essentia, it says being, essence, abstract. It says it says that of constituting the essence of something is, it says that of necessary is from indispensable elements. So yeah, so basically saying necessary. It says that of necessary. So basically saying what? So if it's a necessary, so basically necessary. So it says some countries have fully mandatory systems while others have voluntary systems that have become almost necessary for daily life. So basically, because essential basically means necessary, so basically it's going to be necessary for you to have one. And if you don't have one, it's going to be hard for you to function in day-to-day life. The same thing they're going to do with the microchip. It says digital versus physical. It says some systems are a digital version of a physical ID, while others are entirely digital. So that's what's about to happen. Everything's going to be eventually entirely digital. It says privacy concerns. These are important considerations. It says there are concerns about government surveillance and a potential for data leaks in all systems. And I believe there was already an issue somewhere with the digital ID stuff. It was some kind of issue. I want to say it was in India. There was something where basically all the some shit got fucked up. Yeah, it was in India. Now that's going to happen because why? It's man-made technology. It's flawed, and it's not deemed to last for a minute. So when these devils start to bring this shit more and more, that means we're closer and closer to its end already. But that means we're going to be closer and closer to its end even more as each day passes. They're getting more. I don't want to say they're not getting more tyrant with tyranny with it yet, but they're getting more and more pushy with it, man. Because they're pushing their agenda more and more intense by the day, and eventually they're going to just say, "Fuck it, here. This is what you got to get. No more fun and games. No more fucking around. No more dilly-dallying." And that's ultimately the spirit of YAHAWAH BAHASHAM having to do that. So we got an arc, so it's pretty much the same. Hold up. So this is an article from BBC. Okay. So it's from BBC, and it says, what is the plan for digital IDs and will they be mandatory? Now, this is from October 23rd, which was a couple Thursdays ago. It says, Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer has defended the government's plan to introduce digital ID cards across the UK. He told the BBC the new system would cut the faith for people trying to prove their identity in a range of scenarios, as well as showing they have the right to work. The government says the scheme will be rolled out by the end of the parliament, meaning before the next general election, which by law must be held no later than August 2029. It says, once introduced, digital ID will be used to verify a person's right to live and work in the UK. It will take the form of an app-based system stored on smartphones in a similar way to the NHS app or digital bank cards. The ID will include information on the holder's residency status, name, date of birth, nationality, and their photo. It says, when he first announced the scheme, Sir Keir said you will not be able to work in the United Kingdom if you do not have digital ID. It's simple as that. You see there? It's simple as that. Now that came out a little bit ago, but now you got now let's go to Mexico. Now that's kind of old news about UK. So, but in the UK, you're gonna need. It said that you're gonna need a digital ID to have the right to work. Like motherfuckers want to work, but it's like you have to work. So they're saying that to have the right to work, you're gonna need a digital ID. And he said it's as simple as that. So they're going to these other countries like America, all these other countries. Remember, he, like the scripture said, I just read Revelation 13 and 16. He calls them all. He will require everyone, both rich and poor, free and bond, to receive the mark in their right hand on their foreheads, and that no man can buy or sell save he that had the mark. You need to buy. You have to buy things. Like you have to buy shit. You have to buy your ID. You have to buy your registration. All that shit like car registration, car insurance, medical shit. Those are all things that you have to pay for. So eventually it's going to be what? It's going to be scratched. The digital ID is going to evolve until a Motb, until America see it. Like the writing is on the wall. But I just wanted to bring that out real quick. I didn't want to make this too long. But yeah, man, that's there you go. And it's all going to ultimately lead to the Motb Michael see it. Remember, Sweden was one of the countries mentioned that has the digital ID digital ID mandatory, or damn near mandatory. And Sweden is also the country that has almost like 200,000 people that already have the microchip in their body already. So how much, as time goes on, more people are going to get a digital ID, and then eventually more people are going to get CHIPs. That's how we know that the time is not, it is not, the time of these devils' time is short. Because now they're ushering in all this new system, this beast system. We at the end. So, with that, Lord willing, this is edifying. I'm going to give all praises to Yahawah, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, Kakadash. Double honors to the Apostles of Israel, aka the Apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and love to all the Akin. Continue to preach the truth and all truth and sincerity. Shalom.